Hi again, I'm Stephen Wessner, CEO of Predictive ROI. Thanks for coming back for this week's video. Let's talk about how to structure an accountability phone call, like with your accountability partner, because there should be structure to that phone call. A good accountability partner is somebody who is going to not only hold you accountable, but is somebody who is going to follow a process and agenda. Typically, accountability calls are not social calls, they're not check-ins on friendships or relationship. And I don't mean to sound like that's not important, but typically an accountability partner is somebody who truly holds you accountable. And so that very specific time period, should be about 15 minutes or less, is about business, is about holding you and your partner accountable to what you agreed to do. So here's what I mean by that. So now this might sound a little bit, maybe why on earth do you have 4 accountability partners? But I actually do have 4 accountability partners. And so I have a accountability call every Monday morning with Chris Prefontaine. I have an accountability call every Tuesday morning with Tom Dunkel. I have an accountability call every Thursday morning with Ed Molitor. And I have an accountability call every Friday morning with Don Yeager. And I've been having these accountability calls in varying lengths as far as like where we started those. My longest is with Don Yeager, which started in August of 2012. My most recent is with Ed Molitor, probably within the last 6 months. And they range in between with Chris and Tom. Actually, Tom and I think we just had our 5-year anniversary in November of our first accountability call. This is the agenda. And then I'm going to take you into a clip here from QLS Live, which is Chris Prefontaine's live event in September, because his audience was asking me some questions about how to do an accountability call, and I was sharing this recipe with them. So in fact, let me just change that. Instead of me sharing that recipe with you here, let me let the clip do that, because I share the recipe with them, and then we'll be right back after the clip.
So, but show of hands, how many people actually have a one-on-one weekly accountability partner? Okay, that's awesome. I'm sorry? Yep, so a one-on-one weekly accountability partner. So that's great, that's awesome. I would hope that everybody in this room, if there's one action step that you take, I would hope that that would be part of your recipe going forward, is to get an accountability partner, somebody that you trust and somebody who will actually hold you accountable, which is what Chris and I do. So let me give you the ground rules first of what Chris and I do. So every Monday morning at 8 o'clock Eastern, sometimes it's a bit earlier than that. So I'm Central Time Zone, Chris is Eastern, obviously. And so there's sometimes a little bit of flux here if he's on a plane or if I'm on a plane. But typically it's every Monday morning, 8 o'clock. It's only 10 to 15 minutes long. That's it. If we need additional time, then we schedule that. It doesn't slip into a half hour or 45 minutes. So that's very, very structured as far as the ground rules. Then we focus on 5 key areas. And so one of us goes first, we rotate. So we go through wins, losses, ahas, fixes, and then our progress on the one big goal that week. That's it. That's all we cover. Most of the time we're out in 10 minutes. Yes, sir?
Define the fixes, please.
Sure. So the fixes are typically tied to the losses, meaning I got my butt kicked in this area, we lost a client here, something didn't go well with an event there. Yep. And so now how are we going to fix that? Okay. Any other questions on that?
Do you prepare for it?
Yes. So her question was, do we prepare for the accountability calls? Yes. Each of us is taking notes, but if for whatever reason we can't make the call, then he emails me this very long, almost like a manifest of everything that was accomplished in each of these areas, and I reciprocate, but I will say that mine is never as detailed as his.
I'll tell you guys what I do during the week to keep
Okay,
it.
sure.
If I wait till Monday, especially after a weekend, it'd be gone. So just real sophisticated. I put an index card against my computer, upright, so I'm always thinking about it, and it says those things on it.
Yeah.
So I plug it in as I go, and then Monday morning, nice and fresh, boom. That's what I do.
But we treat this very, very seriously because neither of us wants to disappoint the other. So that's the level of accountability. And if I miss something or if something is askew or whatever, he will ask me, he's like, wait a minute, you said that you were going to do this a couple of weeks ago, so where do you stand with that? It's those kind of conversations, and it's been phenomenal, not just for our relationship, but respectful or respective businesses.
I hope that you found that clip helpful, because I shared the recipe that Chris and I use every Monday morning at 7 o'clock Central Time. We go through those 5 items in the agenda. It takes us 10 minutes or less. We're out, maybe we go to 15, but no more than 15. If we need any additional time, like I said in the clip, we schedule a separate brainstorming session on a Friday morning like we had this morning to cover some additional topics, some additional strategies. The accountability call is 10 to 15 minutes, and we stick strictly to that agenda. So if you don't have an accountability partner today, I suggest that become one of your most vital priorities, is as you get ready to step into 2020, and as you are thinking about how you can double down in this next new year, this next new decade of 2020, get an accountability partner. I hope that serves you well. I look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, double down and onward with gusto.